Nice art skills, but Athena wouldn't have a large chest because she was never married and has no interests in romance or sexual pleasure. Because your interests and your likes and your dislikes obviously immediately and directly influence your physique. Like, listen, if your interest is working out and you spend a lot of time on that, your body's probably gonna show it. But that doesn't mean that works with any and all interests. If I like reading books about space, am I slowly gonna turn into an astronaut? What? Like, listen, this is confusing. You started off nice, you were like, oh my god, I love your art skills. But A, the confidence, and secondly, drawing, like if you're trying to make a realistic drawing of someone, changing aspects, like just randomly making their boobs bigger because you're a man and you just think, haha, big boobs are good, kind of weird. If you're drawing like a person from a legend, or if you're making up a character or something, then you kind of have that artistic freedom to change things about them. You know? Hello BabyQueers and welcome back to my channel. I am not ready for this, because I made coffee before this video, but it's still too hot, so I'm not prepared, but we're gonna get through this together, I hope. But either way, you know the deal. Before I continue, y'all gotta get hydrated. Grab some water, or some tea, or whatever else you like to drink. And don't try to burn your mouth off, because I don't want to do that with my coffee, which is why it's waiting patiently over there. So but if you're hydrated, we can continue. Good? Okay, let's go. It's ovulation week, guys. Don't go about feeling special. She texted you that long. Hey, first, it's ovulation week, as if all women ovulate at the same time? Okay. Wait, do they not? I remember very well being taught that the menstrual cycle lasts 30 days, i.e. the first day of every month to the last day of the month. We don't. Okay, either you don't understand how a woman's body works, or you skipped all your biology classes in high school. This person who commented is a woman. I mean, sure, not everyone who has like a woman's head as their profile picture is a woman. But if like most people who say, oh, actually we as women, we don't do that, that's not how our body works, then maybe as a man, like I know if you actually had sex ed, you're kind of tempted to believe it. And yes, for a lot of women, their menstrual cycle will probably last about 28 to 30 days. But just because months of the year are about that doesn't mean it syncs up to like, your body doesn't have a calendar like that. Like, it doesn't care about our silly little human calendar we made up, so no, it doesn't happen at the same time. Like this, I'm so confused because this top commenter, like the original post of it's ovulation week, guys, don't go getting excited, because at least he's like aware that a lot of women become more interested or more horny during ovulation. He somehow managed to know that, but not that all women aren't synced up. How would that even work? Because again, they don't care about our silly little human calendar. And we have the original post, right? With the ovulation egg, don't go feeling special. But it keeps going. Y'all going about, they have the same ovulation week and all. Are you also new to the fact that most women period sync? They stay together for a while and they start having their times of the month together. Most of them have been clamoring over the internet about it, lol. Okay, listen, it is kind of a thing that women who are close maybe sync up. Like, First of all, I don't even think it happens for like all people, you know, but yeah, a lot of people who menstruate, if they spend like a lot of time and if they're really close to someone, their periods might sync up. And I do think it's kind of funny if that actually works. I don't understand how it works, but it probably hormones, pheromones, I don't know, it works. But does that mean that magically all women sync up? Because if it was a thing that all women would be synced up to like the calendar months, then no one would be talking about it. Then they wouldn't be like, hey, I synced up with my bestie, that's so cool, because it would kind of be a given, right? So the fact that they are talking about it and thinking it's like funny or cute that they're synced up with their bestie or with their lover or whoever kind of should show you that not all women go through their periods at the same time or through the stages of their cycle at the same time. You know, then no one would ever be caught off guard by their period. Or, you know, because they'd be like, oh, well, it's the 20th of the month, time for my period, you know, like it would be easier, sure, but that's not really how this works. You know? Okay, how do I tell a female colleague that she stings? Is it her vagina? And if it happens when you're close together, maybe she likes you? I mean, A, how would you even know that she smells differently when you're around versus when you're not around? Because how would you know what she smells like when you're not around? Right, first of all. But secondly, was it... I feel like if you just would have wrote, like, how do I tell a colleague politely that they don't smell good, you may have actually gotten better answers. Because I kind of see where you came from with the original post, to just be like, well, if it was another man, I would just like straight up tell him and just be like, bro, you stink, go take a shower before work next time. I can kind of understand wanting to go about it with more tact, but maybe consider that you should treat other men with a little bit of like human kindness as well. And like, even if they do something that like directly impacts you like this, because you have to be like around them, and if they don't smell good, that's not too pleasant for you, still maybe consider saying it politely. So asking for advice, I get it if you're like, okay, I just want to say it, but I know I can't do that. Fair, but if you say anything with female or women, then people are gonna post things like this or comment things like this, and you're not gonna actually get any too helpful tips. I mean, who knows, maybe the other comments were all helpful. But this is the internet we're talking about, so I kinda doubt it. Female pelvic anatomy, it's a tight fit. Like, I can honestly... Well, I can't understand not showing the right picture at all, because I had sex ed, I think in 3rd or 4th grade, right? Obviously with like very basic stuff. In 6th grade and in 9th or 10th, I'm not... Or 8th, and I honestly, I don't remember, but I had at least 2 or 3 times. At no point was any picture on the right shown. Actually, I did definitely have it in 6th grade and then again in like 9th. Well, anyways, that's Germany, I don't know. Like, Americans probably are lucky, from what I've heard. I know it's kind of dangerous to trust people on the internet sometimes, but from what I've heard, it's sparse and apparently also, like, more rife with misinformation. But, like, we've all seen the graph on the left if we've had sex education. Would have it hurt to just, like, include a picture next to it? Like, having it drawn like the one on the left maybe makes it easier to show things like, hey, this is this part of the anatomy, that's that part, you know, kind of makes it easier to do the diaphragm and just like put iris to it and you're supposed to name it on the test, you know. Does that mean you shouldn't be showing what it actually realistically looks like? If you don't want to use like an actual picture, use a drawing. Like, I feel like it wouldn't have made a huge difference, right? But it would still be good to not think that like your ovaries are all the way flying around up here when they're just like kind of squished. I feel like it would have been just good to know what it looks like realistically. On a post about an ex-porn star and her child, Misogyny Anatomy. I heard she pushed the kid out, then slid him back in, repeating the process 6 or 7 times, out of muscle memory. The child was born 9 times that day. Giggity. Pushed, baby literally fell out. This is unsurprising, actually, but still concerning. Like, how do you think muscles work? Like, if muscles expand to birth a baby, or to have sex with a partner who has, like, bigger equipment, do you think it just stays like that? Or does, like, immediately next time something comes along, it just, like, randomly opens to that distant? Like, I still don't understand. Like, obviously, muscles can kind of wear out a little bit, but that doesn't mean that every woman or every person who ever birthed a baby can suddenly magically just open it up again to that. Like, on like willpower alone or something. Like, how do you think that works? This is, you know, like, have you even seen a childbirth on TV? Like, obviously they don't show it. Like, if it's like a series or a movie, they don't show the actual thing. But do you think people do this for fun? It literally, even if you're very used to whatever, even if it's like masturbating with gigantic dildos, even if you're used to that, the difference between that and a child is still gigantic. Trust me, people don't do this for fun and push it back in and out for fun or out of like, just know, nothing about childbirth is sexy or sexual, and the fact that you're trying to make it out about that is even more gross than not understanding anything about anatomy, actually. Men will rather glorify unsafe and dangerous jobs than treat women with dignity. As someone who's perceived as a man, I would not do this job. Gender equality, diversity hiring. I mean, from this clip, we only see a man doing it, but okay. It requires testosterone to do this job, which gay men and women don't have. Okay, if it's a literal cis gay man, his testosterone will not magically be different. And even if we ignore that you said that, you're aware that obviously, yes, women have way less testosterone than men usually do. If we're talking, like, honestly, I'm not gonna say cis women every time, but, you know, like, yeah, cis women have way less testosterone, but that doesn't mean they don't have any at all. You know? So if you mean, like, super high testosterone, then you're still, like, aware that not all men have super high testosterone. Like, sure, probably more on average than women do, yeah, but, like, this is concerning on several levels. I mean, even if we ignore the fact that you don't understand anything about human hormones. As someone who is queer, just kind of going on be like, no, but all gay men are super feminine and don't have testosterone and they're all super girly is kind of strange. Because, yeah, a lot of gay men may be really comfortable expressing or exploring their feminine side because they're like, well, people already think that, so fuck it, I might as well, you know, do the things that come natural to me, and if that's feminine to other people, who gives a shit, right? But this is kind of strange on so many levels for such a short comment. Proof you failed as a woman. A C-section scar? Okay. You took an easy option in having a C-section, but that doesn't mean you're a failure as a woman. I think because C-section is easier, possibly lazy option, some people wrongly see it as a woman failing. Very harsh. Again, I don't think doctors are out here. I mean, obviously, you can probably choose to have a C-section, right? But in most cases, when women have a C-section, it's because they have to, because the baby won't turn around properly, or because it gets like stuck with their shoulder or something. And then the doctors have to like go in and cut someone open. I don't think a lot of people would choose to, because as unpleasant as childbirth must be, and as painful as it must be, like, especially if it's not like over quickly, you know, I don't think a lot of people would prefer actually having their stomach cut open. You know, and I don't think doctors would choose to cut someone open for funsies because it's just easier. You know, like, that's not how this works. And then to go around and be like, no, but you failed as a woman. Either she really chose to get cut open versus being in childbirth for hours. Which, honestly, who are you to judge that person? Like, I literally wouldn't care. Like, if I had to, I would probably want to be cut open versus doing that for hours, you know, but why are we going around judging people's choices, even if it is a choice? Or the fact that they literally don't have control over if the baby turns around properly or if it's in the right position. You know, like, people are strange. People are really strange. And at first, I didn't even think it was about a C-section. I thought it was about having like a hysterectomy and having your uterus removed. In which case, again, like, some women do it because, yeah, they might have cancer, or it was bleeding or something and they had to have it like removed for medical reasons. In which case, again, why are we shaming them for stuff they can't control? And secondly, if you choose to remove your uterus because you know you never want children and you actually get to do that in your country, you know, like, why are we judging that? Someone knowing their life, knowing they don't want children or don't want any more children, why are we judging them for being why? I really don't get people sometimes. Spotted in a French e-shop because menstruation is an adult topic and people under 18 don't need period products, I guess. Did you create this e-shop with only cis men on the team? Because, I mean, even as a cis man, you should have a basic understanding of how female bodies work and kind of understand that it doesn't just randomly start when people turn 18, right? They don't just randomly start menstruating when they're 18. You know, a lot of people start puberty a lot earlier like that. You should know this. Like, you as a man start puberty a lot earlier than that. You, if you're straight, become interested in women a lot earlier than that, right? You maybe start doing things with women and should therefore realize that, hey, this person who's the same age as me is also going through puberty, right? So do you think they randomly just start bleeding when they're 18? Wow. Like, honestly, this kind of 18 plus button kind of adds like another level of worrying for me, because it's not just completely misunderstanding that, oh, people under 18 don't bleed, they don't need this, right? But just, it kind of makes it once again seem like they think something is like sexual when it isn't. You know, and that's weirding me out a lot more. Lonely boy going to stay lonely. Apparently it's been a while since your uterus has been penetrated by a penis. I would assume it's that way for pretty much anyone with a uterus. I feel like, again, how can you, like, honestly, just get a blow-up sex doll. If you're gonna be saying wild shit like this so confidently on the internet, please don't engage with actual women. Please go get a blow-up sex doll. You can imagine penetrating that sex doll's uterus all you want, but if you understand this little about women, why are we putting women through this? You know, just no. Oh my god, as a nurse, I can't even tell you how many men were shocked that urinary catheters indeed are not placed in the vagina. Yes, there are 3 holes. The vagina is all the holes, you ignorant fool. The vagina is the whole area in the crotch, including all of the holes. That is what they taught us in sex ed in school, and I believe a teacher over some idiot on the internet. They peer at their vaginas, you moron. You're joking, right? Guys have questions how we pee with a tampon in, so I guess this tracks. There are 2 holes in the vagina. I shouldn't have to say this. Multiple parts of your body make up the vagina. The birth canal, urethra, the vulva, and the clitoris. Are you aware that the urethra is also connected to the vagina, but also not penetrated in the sex ed? I'm not aware of that because that is not real. Please go get a refund from your health costs. This is what I mean about miseducation in sex class. Like, I feel like women know where they pee from. And a lot of women, or a lot of people who menstruate and have used tampons before, know that they don't pee out of their vagina because then they can still pee with a tampon in, right? And then, I mean, I kind of get saying, well, I believe my teacher over some stranger on the internet. Because yeah, people on the internet be saying wild things and spreading misinformation, but it doesn't help if you... Again, like, I'm aware that some people pose as women on the internet to spread misinformation about women's bodies or whatever. But again, you have your phone in your hand. You can just close Twitter or whatever this was and go Google for like 10 seconds to be like, hey, I'm just gonna look up a graph on female anatomy and kind of see where the urethra is and see where the vagina is and see what else is part of it. You could do that, but no, you just type out and believe your teacher. Like, generally, I'm kind of for just believing teachers because, yeah, usually they studied it, they know what they're talking about, but this kind of blind trust might also not be helpful. Okay, actually, I forgot one picture because someone actually did. I hope I can show this. I'm just gonna show it. I'm gonna label this video. I usually label my videos not safe for kids anyways, because I cannot keep track of if I curse or not, and then I usually do, and then I just label it not safe for kids, so I'm just gonna show it. You know, because a lot of people apparently haven't seen it. Guy has the spirit, but is a little confused. Okay, so I'm a 15-year-old trans man who hasn't started HRT or anything like that, but I still have quite prominent body hair on my arms, legs, and chest. It's very visible due to my hair color, and I've had it since I was like 10-ish, so I've had my fair share of weird and funny comments. Most recently, I had a dude from my old school who I vaguely knew come up to me and compliment me on starting HRT, which confused me. I thanked him but told him I hadn't started yet. He looked confused and said, "But you're so hairy?" It was honestly hilarious, and I'm glad he was supportive even if he was a little confused, but I figured this belonged here. I mean, that's kind of a difference, honestly, I kind of love people who are just confused but supportive. I kind of love it, because it's like, well, I don't know anything about being trans, or I don't understand being queer because I'm just straight and I can't really imagine what that's like. But it's cool that you are, you know, it's fine, I support you, you know. I kind of love this, but what I don't love is people not understanding anything. Do you know how much pressure a lot of women put on themselves to constantly shave literally everywhere, and then have to listen to men complain that shaving their beard is annoying or something? You know, but that's beside the point. Do you know how much pressure a lot of women are under because of people like this? You know? Because there's kind of just this expectation that women are hairless when, yeah, female puberty does that too, you know, it does body hair in all sorts of places. So just kind of, I get why he's confused, because honestly, if you're just like not aware of it, if you maybe don't even have sisters or something, your mother might not talk about it. Like if you have sisters, you might know earlier, and then please don't be a dickhead and just go around and be like, no, but you should really shave that, because that's really, who cares? It's just hair. I don't understand. Like, listen, if you on yourself, you kind of like told apart that, well, maybe I don't want to shave because of like societal pressure, because I should. I just feel like it's more comfortable for me to have no body hair or have less body hair. Okay, go ahead. I personally, like, I trim too. I wouldn't need to, because people look at me and they're just like, well, you're a man. Most of them anyway. Some people get really confused. But anyways, like, I wouldn't need to. Like, no one would come up to me like, no, but you need to shave again. You know that, right? But I don't know. I just kind of, I let it grow, and I just felt it was more comfortable to kind of like trim it occasionally so it doesn't become too long, because it's just, maybe it's a sensory thing, I don't know. But either way, like, if you did that and you're just like, well, no, actually I feel more comfortable with like shaved or trimmed hair, go ahead, but just make that choice for yourself and not go around shaming other people for making a different choice. And then you have these men who haven't like showered in a week or wiped their butt properly in years since their mom did it properly the last time, basically telling women it's unhygienic, not realizing how ridiculous they sound, you know. So ignore those people and do what's comfortable for you, I guess. Someone missed the part about humans being mammals on a nipple. Do you know how babies work? How do you think babies are naturally fed? It's disgusting. Breastfeeding mothers are cows. You're a clown. You literally are. I never really understood this debate about whether women should be breastfeeding in public or not. Literally. Humans are mammals. That is how human babies are naturally fed. Do a lot of people maybe not produce enough breast milk, or just choose to feed with a bottle instead? Sure. And that's okay. Like, if you feed a baby with a bottle in public, that's totally fine. But as soon as someone feeds their baby naturally, like even if they put like a scarf over it so weird men won't oogle their boobs while they're literally just trying to feed their baby, it's still a problem. Listen. This is not the first time men have been like, no, but boobs are for sexual pleasure, they're not for feeding babies, when that's literally what they're for. That is the official purpose. Everything else is kind of an added bonus, right? Like, no one's saying it can't be fun, or they can't be used for other things, but that's literally not the original purpose, at least. How is being a high-value man insulting? Nobody will know I'm not a virgin. Slimy shit like that is why you're single. Your hymen is already broken, that's how you will know. You gave up the most valuable thing that you have because society told you to. Hookup culture is nasty. Okay, but how do you... If you're gonna go around preaching this for women, then you as a man should also, you know, follow the same rules. Because if it's okay for men to sleep around but not for women, then you must be really fine with sleeping with other men, because, well, if you're gonna sleep around but women aren't allowed to, in your eyes, then you need to be sleeping around with people who aren't women. And if that's what you want to do, I'm not here to judge you. I'm just saying, you're gonna be the first to start throwing hateful shit at someone who suggests that to you, you know? So the double standard is wild to me, and I don't get it. I just want to point out that the study only says how much each demographic orgasmed as a whole. For the bisexual women, it's not stated how many orgasms came from each gender or even how much they slept with each gender. It's very unlikely to be 50-50. Most bi women tend to date one gender more than another on average. Based on how the study was conducted, the bisexual women are actually the least relevant for the conversation. The straight woman versus lesbian gives a much better picture of orgasm rates from women and men, since it was clear what gender the partner was. Okay, the context is that the OP of comment chain claimed that lesbians are beating men at pleasuring women, which is why I said only bisexual women can really gauge that, and why straight women versus lesbian stats are meaningless to make that point. My point stand that bisexual women having orgasms as often as straight women suggests that lesbians and straight men are roughly equal when it comes to pleasuring women, and lesbians' orgasms more than straight women suggests that lesbian women are easier to satisfy than straight women. I'm sorry, what? Listen, yeah, a lot of bisexual people maybe have a preference for certain genders. But just the thought, you're aware that it is just kind of easier to find a straight partner or find someone of the opposite sex to date or hook up with, because you as a bisexual woman will find more men who are interested in you than queer women probably. Same for bisexual men, it's kind of just easier to find a woman who's into you than other queer men. So I'm not saying bisexual women sleep with more men than women, but you know, they might. So honestly, kind of, I don't know, like throwing bisexual women in there without any kind of like context of what gender their partner was is maybe actually also really not that helpful, because I feel like it can just like easily be misunderstood as data and just like not be complete data, you know. So just be like, no, but lesbians are just easier to please. That's what it is. Not that men generally don't understand women's anatomy. No, that's not what it is. It's just because lesbians are easier to please. Of course it is. Of course. Sure, whatever you need to tell yourself. Okay, I feel like that's enough internet for today, and it's like 9 in the morning right now when I'm filming this. So that's great. The amount of misinformation on the internet is hilarious, and it's still kind of, it confuses me how confidently people feel when posting something that they, well, actually, they probably think they clearly understand it and they have all the information, they have it down. And then they just post these wild things, and most people call them out on it because it's just very obvious to someone who actually has information on it that is just wrong. But it confuses me how people say things so confidently without Googling it, and then they get called out on it because someone's like, well, no, that's wrong. And then they double down and just like say, no, but I'm right, instead of stepping away to Google when they literally have their phone in their hands. I know people don't like to be wrong, but really, is it that difficult to Google? Well, anyways, I hope you feel educated. I hope you feel sane still, because I'm not sure I do. But anyways, I'm gonna go finish my coffee. Hope it's not completely cold by now. I hope you're hydrated too. If not, maybe consider drinking something now, and I'll be back in a few days with my next video.